Nebraska, not at Cincinnati, playing Cincinnati, in Kansas City of all places. This is your Thursday game, all right? ESPN, Arrowhead Stadium, essentially a home game for Dylan Raiola. It's time to go do something if you're Nebraska. No more, but we had this many close games. Well, next year's the year. Like, no, this needs to be the year. And I understand that Dylan Raiola is only a true sophomore. I understand that not everything is totally worked out on the roster just yet, but like this is the year to go really make some noise here. I got Nebraska at 9 wins. That would make some noise for me. That would qualify a truly successful season. There are some folks that are saying, hey, get to 10 and you're in the college football playoff. I don't think you're wrong if that's your logic, but if I'm Nebraska, this is a game where you're favored by 6.5 points per BetMGM. Like, go do something this year is the internal temperature I'd have to think in Lincoln. No more building, no more this, no more that. Like, go do something. For Cincinnati, it's a new leaf, baby. All right? The Bible says the old has passed away, behold, the new has come. Not talking about Cincinnati football, but it still applies here. 5-7 last year. Okay? 1 game away from a bowl game. Cincinnati had 4, 1-score losses. So 1 ball bounces differently. Maybe Cincy's a bowl team. I digress. Top 15 in returning production for the Fighting Scott Satterfields. Can you find a way in this spot in a neutral site in a team with a bunch of juice around them in Nebraska to just will your team to a victory? Brendan Sorsby. Remains to be seen. But speaking of will, like if Cincinnati is going to win this football game, you have got to will yourself to have some kind of push up front on both sides of the ball. Like, you'd love to get after Dylan Raiola, something you weren't great at doing a season ago when it comes to trying to pressure the passer. They were in like triple digits when it came to sack rate last year, was the Bearcats. But the big thing for me, they allowed 4.5 yards a carry on defense. Y'all, it's Matt Rule year 3. Death taxes Matt Rule year 3 having good football teams. Death taxes Matt Rule in year 3 being able to run the football. That's his MO. Northeast guy, went to Penn State, coached at Temple. Like, he's got these traits in his background, his the geographical cues in his background. Cold weather football. Not going to be cold weather football in this spot, but like that's what Nebraska, I think, will always have in the back pocket this season. So if you're Cincinnati, you're still allowing 4.5 yards a carry. It's going to be a long day at the office, man. You're going to start the year 0-1. If not, though, force it on Dylan Raiola. Maybe you get a little bit more of an honest look from your defense, and maybe Nebraska has to press a little bit. That would be how you hang around in this game, all right? Now, Nebraska, got to be clean, man. Got to be clean. It's not super novel analysis, but it's 100% the truth for Nebraska. That has kept them from getting to where they want to be in the past. Why do you lose close games? Crucial errors, right? Sometimes competitive plays and not meeting the moment, that's true, but like a lot of the times it came down to fourth quarter, not protecting the quarterback, strip sack, interception, whatever it looks like. Nebraska, from a roster level, is a better football team than Cincinnati. The way that Cincinnati would win this football game is Nebraska gives it away. 1.5 giveaways a game last year for Nebraska. That tells you the story of their season. It's a reason why they didn't win 8 games last year. That was it. Now, the question I have in this spot matchup-wise, like, is Cincinnati able to be somewhat multiple? Because I mentioned, them not being great defensively against the run, but like Nebraska, they're replacing a lot up front on the D-line. I would test that if I'm Scott Satterfield. Like Brendan Sorsby, got some giddy up to him. Tyree Walker, transfer running back from Oklahoma a year ago. He's got some juice to him. I actually think he's one of the more underrated backs in this conference based on his body of work. Bowling ball kind of build to him. Stays low, good center of gravity. There is a world where Cincinnati runs the football early, creates some plays downfield, gets to have some leverage on Nebraska in the first half, and then hits a play downfield in the second half. And like that's one of the games where you're like, Nebraska did not meet the moment yet again. Yet again, Nebraska was not able to answer the call to action here, and Cincinnati just was more multiple and found a way to get it done. If Cincinnati can run the football, they can have some juice on the offense, in the passing game, that is. Now, I say all that about Cincinnati to get to this point about Nebraska. I just think that even with what Cincinnati could be offensively in this spot, with how they could maybe get a push early against Nebraska's new D-line unit, I think that Nebraska and the growth they've made on offense is why I like them in this game. Remember that kid who would come back from, summer in middle school, and he left, 7th grade, 5'11", comes back as an 8th grader. Dude's like 6'4" with a mustache. That's Nebraska's offense to me. Last year, strong finish, not short by any means. Dylan Raiola got you excited. Dana Holgorsen and him together at the end of the year I thought was really solid. But Dana Holgorsen now having a full year to get this offense installed. Dylan Raiola, a full offseason in meetings with Dylan Raiola. Or Dana Holgorsen and Dylan Raiola, a full offseason meeting. You catch my drift there. Going to the portal. Adding some key pieces in the perimeter. Revamping this offensive line. This offense for Nebraska and the growth spurt they've had this offseason, we're going to see that in this game. I love the year 3 part of this for Matt Rule because that's where his culture really comes into focus. And if you know Matt Rule teams from Temple, from Baylor, year 3 is that pop year. And people point to roster, people point to talent, all those things. It's fair to do. But those teams, in my opinion, having been around the Baylor team in year 3, they were so good because they found a way to just win in the little things, to major in the details, that add up over the course of an offseason that eventually win you football games in the fall. I think this is the part where Nebraska announces themselves as a year 3 team under Matt Rule with year 3 traits. I think they get it done. I think they win. I think they cover. I think it's convincing. I think the final score is Nebraska 28-17, and we're all saying, okay now, that's the Nebraska team that we were promised when Matt Rule took the job post-Scott Frost era. Gritty, physical, tough, and then the massive bonus here is Dylan Raiola looks like the quarterback that we signed up for when we got him from his previous commitment from Georgia, all right? High-caliber player playing like a high-caliber guy in this game, and Nebraska gets it done starting the year 1-0 on a Thursday night, man.